Reminded of the tremendous sacrifice that those who serve in our armed forces give so that we may enjoy the life that we live, so that we may vote, so that we may voice our opinion, so that we may do the right thing. Please be with the family and friends of the young man who was lost in Afghanistan, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's the one that doesn't
Bonnie,
roll.
would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yep.
Richardson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Here.
Limcool?
Here.
Henschel? Gilman?
Here.
Inman?
Here.
Please.
Present. Next item would be the approval of the minutes for March 23rd, 2011, March 30th, 2011, and April 12th, 2011. And I would ask that they be done separately, as I was not present for the April 12th. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the March 23rd special meeting with the 2011 work plan. Support.
Any discussion? Been moved and supported to approve the March 23rd. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the March 30th regular board meeting of the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners. Support.
Moved and supported to approve March 30th, 2011 regular board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the April 12th meeting of the equalization meeting. Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the April 12th, 2011. Bonnie, would you do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Thomas?
Yep.
Richardson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Limcool?
Yes.
Henschel? Gilman?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Abstain. Next item is the first public comment, and I'll have Bonnie read the rules, if you would, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act as amended. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. 1. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. 2. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. Chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak.
Thank you, Bonnie. Is there anyone in the public wishing to comment? And if there is, would you come forward, please, and state your name and address? Good evening.
Jim Crothers, 218 West 11th Street, Traverse City. I'm here to speak on item 31 of your agenda, removal of the parking meters at the governmental center. These parking meters, unfortunately, are needed around here. We have a limited parking spots out in this building. If we don't have parking meters there, they would be full of cars that are parked there all day long, of employees, people that service the courthouse next door. We'd have no spaces for the transient, come in, do paperwork, stop in for a quick talk with a department head, etc. This is a way to allow lots of people to use this building without having to figure out where to park. They also generate revenue for the city of Traverse City and our parking services program, which we balance with building parking decks. So I know it's not a lot of money, but it is something that we use to help fund our parking decks and the building of new parking decks. So I'm just saying it's a mistake for you to remove these, because we will end up with no parking available for people who just want to come in and pay their taxes or grab an agenda or talk to the county clerk or a city office person. So it'd be really silly to remove them. I think all of us are smart enough to know that if we're going to be parking here for longer than 30 minutes, we should park in the lot next door or on the street. So tickets are tickets. We get them, we pay them. So I hope that you will consider leaving the meters for the public's sake. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Evan Smith, 809 Washington in Traverse City. I am the chair of the Chamber of Commerce Transportation Committee. I also chair TC Talus. I also manage a business, Cherry Capital Foods, which is located in the city. I just wanted to come before you tonight and offer to appear at any time to discuss further with you any questions or provide details or information that you may have with regard to the services and the value that I feel TC Talus provides for the county, the city, and the region. I am doing this on behalf of very many people that are in support of what we do and would love to share with you what we do, and thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Joe Malika, 513 2nd Street, Traverse City, Michigan. I want to add to what Mr. Carruthers said. Not only the practical purposes of keeping the parking meters where they are, if you've ever, I'm at the courthouse anywhere from 1 to 5 days a week, and probably 1 out of 10 times I go to the parking lot between the two courthouses, as stated in the paper as being additional parking. It's extremely hard to find a place to park there. When the citizens of this city are coming here to pay a bill or county to pay a bill, they shouldn't have to be required to walk 10 minutes when it's something they can walk in and out. Just for, again, I only had a newspaper article. If the reason this was brought was because one of the commissioners got a ticket, it's the epitome of arrogance that none of us should even be associated with. Ignorance on voting for this resolution would just blow my mind. Because somebody can't put 10 cents in a parking meter, you're going to inconvenience your citizens who are coming here to put money into the city coffer. You're going to take money away from certain public projects that it may be small, as Mr. Carruthers said, but it's something. And where's that going to come out of this? The county taxes, our individual taxes somewhere down the line? Who knows? It'll be money that needs to be paid, and it's going to come out of somewhere. Because someone can't walk up and down steps to feed a meter once or twice, or just park across the way and pay for a 2-hour meter. Again, a change of law because you have the power to bring it up, because it went against you, would be, hitting a fly ball when you play baseball and it doesn't go far enough, so you ask your dad to move the fences in. Okay, they're there, live with them, abide by the rules the rest of us have to abide by, and don't take it upon yourself just to, because you think you have the power to do it, change the rules and ask something for your own convenience. It just doesn't seem right. I can't imagine this honorable commission voting for something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else desiring to speak? If not, we'll close the public comment. There'll be a second public comment later in the agenda. Next item is approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda.
Support. Been moved and
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we add to the agenda the notification that was on your desk tonight that Wheelock & Sons Welding Incorporated, of which I am a principal, has been contacted by the Grand Traverse County Facilities Department to do work on one of the trucks. This is notice. We will take action on the proposal next week.
I would move for approval of the agenda as amended to include Wheelock & Sons Welding.
Support.
okay, it's been moved and supported to add the Wheelock & Sons letter to the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passes. We'll put Wheelock & Sons under new business.
Yeah, now we have to,
You got to vote on the motion now.
that was an amendment to the,
You just voted on the amendment.
we just voted on the amendment to the,
Oh, okay.
so.
It's been moved and supported to amend the agenda to include the Wheelock letter. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Next item is special order of business, public hearings on the Hospital Finance Authority refunding bonds issued in an amount not to exceed $110 million.
Maybe we ought to give Peter a soft chair.
Thank you. I'm going to take you up on that one this time.
You do need to speak in.
Hello, gentlemen and ladies, commissioners. My name is Peter Eklund. I'm the Authority Counsel, here with Dean Bod, who's the Finance Director of the county, also Chairman of the Hospital Finance Authority, Paul Sherrill, who is the General Counsel of Munson Healthcare, and now I'm drawing a blank, Mark Hepler, who is the Chief Financial Officer of the hospital. We're coming before you. The hospital is doing a large refunding of a number of outstanding bonds that they've been issuing, potentially their 1998 series, as well as a number of bonds that they issued between 2000 and 2005. The members of the hospital can get into a little bit more about the reasons why they're looking at doing this refinancing and the value that it's going to bring to the hospital. But I know we have some new commissioners, and I was asked to give a little background on the Hospital Finance Authority and in the role they play as well as the county's role. The authority was created by the Board of Commissioners under Act 38 of 1969. It allows hospitals within your jurisdiction to borrow money at a tax-exempt rate, which obviously then provides excellent health care for your citizens. The advantage of that is they can do it at a tax-exempt rate, which is a lower borrowing cost for them. The Hospital Finance Authority is a conduit financing vehicle. There's no full faith pledge by the county. You are not obligated to make the payment. You are merely a funding vehicle that, in this case, Munson can use to get the tax-exempt rate. This is obviously something they're looking at doing. Part of it is to get out of some variable rate bonds that they have and get into a more fixed structure, which will take away some risk as they move forward with their debt. And with that, I guess I turn it over to Mark to get into more detail, and we can open it up for questions.
Thank you, Peter. I mean, you really summarized it. This is really a refinancing project where we're looking to take out about $110 million of existing debt and refinance it. The goal of this is to take some risk off the balance sheet and to, we're in a lot of variable rate debt. We anticipate rates increasing, so we're trying to get out ahead of the curve and take some of the risk off the balance sheet.
The Hospital Finance Authority met this afternoon, and we did approve our resolution moving this on to the county board this evening. And you have in your packet a resolution to that effect.
Jason?
For us, this is primarily a technical thing anyhow, isn't it? I mean, Dennis?
I think it is. This, you do, tell me if I'm wrong on this. The county's full faith and credit does not support this. It's the hospital that...
Absolutely right. This is merely a conduit financing vehicle. There is no obligation, no pledge of any kind on either behalf of the county or of the authority.
But by providing this assistance at the tax-exempt rate, we're providing and helping build the hospital system in the area, which is very important to us. Gentlemen, do you have any estimate of the potential savings by refinancing?
I guess it depends on what interest rates do as we go.
It always does,
forward.
yeah. Do you have any estimates, though, based on what you know at this point in time?
Some of it will actually increase our costs because we're going from variable rate to fixed rate debt,
All right.
but it takes risk off.
Okay.
So rates are good on the fixed side, except for on the long side of the curve, but we're trying to take advantage of that as we can now and fix some of that cost.
Okay, great.
Any other questions of the board?
I mean, we just did how large was our last one, Dean? Well, Peter, you were involved in it.
Exactly, we were the bond counsel for that. Dean can talk about it. It was $20 million refunding on a wastewater project you did for a number of underlying units.
Maybe more like 30, was it 20?
No, the outstanding debt issue for the wastewater
Was
treatment
it 20?
plant here in the city was $22,750,000. There's a principal payment due May 1st. The premium on that refunding with the present value savings was almost $900,000. So huge present value savings, the entire community benefits from that.
I think the net savings was almost $1.5 million, wasn't it?
It was more than we even predicted, and that's a
Right.
testament to during these tough economic times, that the conservative nature with which the county, the county's finance department and their county treasurer have been stewards of your finances was viewed very, very positively by S&P and Moody's, and then reflected on a number of bids for that refunding and a savings even more than what we had anticipated.
You know, so sometimes we promote the fact that we're able to do this for our local municipalities, but there's another instance where the county can use their bond rating to assist the hospital in the area, which I think is real important. And Peter, if I just want to make sure we have this right, when we're done with the questions, we need to have a public hearing on this, is that correct?
That's right, open it
Okay.
up for any public comment, and there is a resolution following that.
Thank you.
Ross?
Well, I'll make a motion to,
We gotta hit
Well, we gotta
public hearing
have
first.
Do the
before
public hearing
motion?
first,
Okay.
yeah.
Everybody set on the questions then? Okay, I'll open the public hearing at 7:16 PM. Is there anybody in the public desiring comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 7:17. Ross?
Okay, I would move that solely for the purpose of fulfilling the public approval requirements of the code, the County Commission of the County of Grand Traverse, Michigan hereby approves the issuance, sale, and delivery of not to exceed $110 million in aggregate principal amount of bonds through the Hospital Finance Authority.
Support.
Is there any discussion on the motion or the resolution? Been moved and supported to go ahead with the resolution of the Hospital Finance Authority not to exceed $110 million. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lemkool?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yep.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe.
Next item on the agenda is the EDC public hearing and resolutions. Jean here tonight?
She is.
On her birthday, I might add.
Oh, it is?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
29 again?
Good evening.
Thank you.
My name is Jean Dorenzi with the Planning and Development Department. The first public hearing before you is for Plascon Films. The EDC reviewed it and the Ways and Means Committee reviewed it. It's a $222,000 direct loan for the purchase of a plastic bag cutter and welding machine. The growth in the business by this loan will create 7 additional new jobs. It's a direct loan to Plascon Films for a term of 7 years at an interest rate of 4.9% with the collateral of first on equipment, personal guarantee by the owner, David Peterson, and the businesses associated with Plascon Films.
Are there any questions of the board, of Jean? I'll open the public hearing at 7:18. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak to this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 7:18.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the EDC loan to Plascon Films Incorporated.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the resolution. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lemkool?
Yes.
Gilman?
No.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Fleece?
Yes. Next item, Jean's the CS Sewing loan.
Yes, this is a $70,000 security loan, which would be secured through a certificate of deposit at the primary bank of Traverse City State Bank. This will allow the company to upgrade their computer network, their website, and public development, and for working capital of inventory. This will also create 2 additional jobs. The collateral will be equipment and inventory and personal guarantees by the owner, Jennifer and Scott Creda.
Are there any questions of Jean from the board? I would open the public hearing at 7:21 PM regarding this matter. Is there anybody in the public wishing to speak to this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 7:21 PM.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the security loan for CS Sewing, an amount of $70,000.
Second.
Been moved and supported to approve the loan to CS Sewing. Roll call vote, please.
Lemko?
Yes.
Gilman?
No.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
Yes.
Fleece?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and happy birthday, Jean. Did you want to discuss how old we are?
No, thank you.
Some of us know. Okay, the next item on our agenda is Bay Area Senior Advocates, presentation by Kim Schmitz. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm Kim Schmitz, representing the Bay Area Senior Advocates, otherwise known as BASA. Thank you for allowing us to present a little bit here today. The Bay Area Senior Advocates are pleased to announce the Ideas for Life Senior Expo. This is our 10th year of providing this informative and educational event to seniors, their families, and the caregivers of our community. This year's event takes place on May 18th from 10 to 4 at the Grand Traverse County Civic Center. Our major sponsors this year are Culver Meadows Adult Foster Care and WCCW Classic Hits. The theme of the 2011 Expo is travel, so we're inviting attendees to come travel the Expo, visit with our 120 vendors that we have. You can expect to see innovative products, services to enhance every aspect a senior expects for now and in the future. We also have educational seminars. We really stress education at this Expo. You can learn about housing options, legal and medical issues, ski walking, Zumba dancing, really getting fit and learning how to extend your life healthily. So everyone attending the Expo will be given a passport to travel around the Expo, and box lunches will also be provided. Approximately 1,200 people attended last year's Expo. Many of them are seniors themselves, although we really encourage anyone who is a caregiver or dealing with aging issues to attend and gather valuable information. So the 83 members of the Bay Area Senior Advocates invite you and everyone in our community to attend this year's Ideas for Life Senior Expo. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
You said that was May 10th, Kim?
May 18th.
May 18th. It's a Wednesday.
10 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., correct? Okay, next item on our agenda is the consent calendar. Would you read that, please, Bonnie?
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. Receive and file, number 1, correspondence from Norbert Tutlis dated April 4th, 2011. Number 2, resolution regarding baiting and feeding of deer in Michigan from Lake County. Number 3, resolution in support of House Bill 4148, 4149, and 4150 from Livingston County. Number 4, joint G5 Sewer and Water and Board of Public Works minutes of February 28, 2011. Number 5, Michigan Northern Counties Association's minutes of February 28, 2011. Number 6, Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan minutes dated March 3, 2011. Number 7, Resource Recovery Council meeting minutes of March 3, 2011. Number 8, Central Dispatch Policy Board minutes of March 10, 2011. Number 9, Special Joint G5 Sewer and Water and Board of Public Works minutes of March 10, 2011. Number 10, Conservation District minutes of March 14, 2011. Number 11, CRA Boardman River Dams Implementation Team minutes of March 17, 2011. Number 12, CRA Boardman River Dams Project Managers meeting of April 1, 2011 draft. Referrals, none. Approvals. Public Health and Safety Committee recommends approval of the following resolutions. Number 13, Commission on Aging, acceptance of donations. Number 14, Comprehensive Planning, Budgeting, and Contracting Agreement Amendment Number 1. Number 15, Proposed Jail Services Agreement, Sheriff's Office. Number 16, Senior Center 2011 Budget, Commission on Aging. Number 17, Staffing Plan Amendment, Commission on Aging. Number 18, Commission on Aging Endowment Grant Acceptance. Number 19, Health Department Staffing Changes. Number 20, Grand Traverse Sheriff's Office Surplus Items. Resource Management Administration Committee recommends approval of the following resolutions. Number 21, Boardman River Dams Funding Assistance. Number 22, Priority-Based Budgeting. Number 23, Victim Rights Agreement. Ways and Means Committee recommends approval of the following resolutions. Number 24, 2011 Remonumentation Grant Acceptance. Number 25, approval of 2011 Remonumentation Service Contracts. Number 26, Material Purchase for Lighting and Energy Efficiency Improvement Grant. Number 27, Moratorium on the Siegel Wage and Salary Study. Number 28, POAM Corrections Officers Bargaining Unit. Number 29, Budget Adjustments. Number 30, resolution proclaiming April as National County Government Month, serving our veterans, armed forces, and their families. Number 31, removal of parking meters at the governmental center. Number 32, department building project.
Thank you. Having heard the consent calendar read, is there anybody in the public that wishes any items removed? Anybody, any the commissioners want any items removed? Chris?
Number 25, 28, and 31.
25.
28 and 31.
Ross?
She already got it.
Pardon?
She already got it.
Oh. Sonny?
Number 22, please.
Are there any others? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended with the exception of item number 22, 25, 28, and 31.
Support.
Support. It's been moved and supported to approve the consent calendar with the exception of the 4 items, 22, 25, 28, and 31. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll
Oh, it's a roll call, yeah.
Commissioner Gilman?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yep.
Richardson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lemko? Oh, he's gone.
He's absent.
Please.
Yes. We'll move the items that were removed, the 4, to under I in the numerical order. Next item is the administrator's report. Dennis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item is the claim summary to be handled by Dean Bott. It's been placed on your desk.
Just a real quick comment on that. Under the immediate payments, the large amount that you're seeing on April 15th is the purchase of the delinquent real property taxes by the county from the local units. That was completed during this, the month that we're currently in.
Are there any questions of Dean?
Move for approval.
Support?
Been moved and supported to accept the claims for April 2011. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is a recommendation from the Circuit Court on the appointment of an appointment to the jury board. Under the law, the Circuit Court makes recommendations to the county board, who must ratify the jury board appointment. The circuit judges are recommending the reappointment of Nancy Muha to the jury board for a 6-year term commencing May 1st of this year.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that?
No.
Been moved and supported to appoint Nancy Muha to the jury board. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The next item, Commission, is the request that the Commission made of me to provide essential personnel list in the event that the board looks at a potential moratorium for the remainder of this year in light of the $700,000 shortfall we have. I'm going to beg the board's indulgence. I have prepared the list, the initial list, but I have not had an opportunity to meet with Jen and with Dean, and I'm asking you if you would mind if I had that meeting with them first and then emailed them out to you later this week. I just want to make sure that they're in agreement with this list before I send it out. And while they've sent me their recommendations, we have some differences, and I'd like the three of us to sit together and be able to kind of come to consensus. So with that, if you don't mind, I'd like to give it to you maybe Thursday or Friday.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Thank you.
So moved, Dennis.
The last item is was asked to be put on here by Commissioner Inman, Chairman Inman.
Thank you, Dennis. I just want to address a matter that came up at Ways and Means, and that was the notification, I believe, of the shortfall for the 2011 budget. I believe an approximate number was 700,000. Is that correct, Dean?
712,000.
And I felt we should just have some preliminary discussions about that. I sort of have two thoughts. One thought would be the possibility of setting up a budget ad hoc committee, and possibly the committee chairs of each committee, because they chair those areas of county government, and the chairman of the board would meet with staff and come back with a recommendation. The other option, of course, it would also be acceptable, and that is to schedule a special Ways and Means Committee meeting and with staff input in terms of some recommendations that the whole committee can discuss at that time. So there's really two ways to proceed with that. I'm fine with both ways. I guess my thoughts are that even though the staff has identified some sources of funds to fill the 2011 budget, that would just make the 2012 budget a much larger gap to fill. And I think it would be prudent for us to have a discussion about making cuts or some structural changes during 2011 to handle that shortfall, and addressing it sooner than later. So, we got kind of two ways to go on it, but I thought that we should have just some discussion about, maybe the best way to proceed moving forward. So I can work with Dennis and his staff as to, how to set something up and then move forward with that matter of that discussion.
I think I'd be open for a motion to move it to Ways and Means for discussion.
A special Ways and Means?
Yeah, it would be either to set up a budget ad hoc committee made up of committee chairs and the chairman.
What's your preference?
Or to schedule a special Ways and Means Committee meeting just to deal with the 2011 budget. And I have no preference at this point.
Okay. Jason?
I would think it would be better to have a full special Ways and Means, given the different values we have, I think, on the board.
Okay. So we would schedule that we would just try to get with staff and pick out some dates that can be open so we can fill that in.
Yeah, my only comment was, it needs to be very soon, because you're expecting recommendations from Dean and I at Ways and Means next month. And obviously, we need some time to, put together what the board would like to see. I guess I talked to the chairman initially about this idea of a budget committee, and the main reason is because Dean and I feel that under our present system, and that may change soon, hopefully, but under our present system, we have not, we often bring you recommendations that don't seem to meet the needs of the commission and the ideas of what the commission is looking for. So my thought was, if we had a subcommittee of commissioners that would work with us as we developed our budget, we would still preserve our right and our responsibility to put a budget together, but based on some thoughts from you, it might bring a budget that more closely meets the needs of what the county board is looking at for collectively. Because I'm sure that no one has a better understanding of what the board feels than the board members themselves. So that was the theory we were working under, and we were really looking to provide us some guidance so that the work product we bring you back more closely aligns with the needs of the commission.
Larry, who did you have in mind if we were to appoint ad hoc committee?
Well, it would be the chairs of the 4 committees. That would include the 3 committees of the whole, and then the chairman of the board.
Should be Ross and I, and you and Larry.
Jason?
Could I recommend that when we start talking about things that may come or go, or things that are important to the community, it might not be a bad idea to at least invite the community to participate in some way in this committee?
Well, I think it would be appropriate if, once we come up with a suggested or a number of suggested approaches, then we would, the community can come in and give their input during that whole process. That's what I would think.
Chris?
My preference is to have a special Ways and Means meeting with all the board members.
Ross, what's your preference? Sonny?
Well, I mean, I could go either way, since I would be one of the members of the budget ad hoc,
Right.
That would be fine too, but if we're going to have a special Ways and Means, we better have some specific suggestions before us.
Well, that was part of the rationale behind setting up, getting the committee chairs and the chairman of the board together. We can begin to build that foundation with staff.
I mean, maybe
and
you...
then come back and present it at a meeting.
Maybe you should combine the two and, have a...
Budget committee and then...
Have a budget committee, which obviously all commissioners would be invited to because it would be a public meeting.
Right.
To at least discuss some possibilities and then bring recommendations back to a special Ways and Means.
Okay.
To,
That's not a bad idea to put that combination together. That's a good idea, I think.
I'll make that motion then.
All right, and I'll second that.
And the motion is?
The motion is to create a budget ad hoc committee of the chairman of the county board plus the 3 chairs of the committee of a whole to review with staff possible means of reducing our budget deficit for the calendar year 2011 and bring those recommendations back to a special Ways and Means committee as soon as possible.
I'll second that.
Okay, everybody understand the motion? Been moved and supported to appoint the ad hoc committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Good.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next item is the items removed from the consent calendar. Number 22 is first, and that was pulled by...
Mr. Chairman, I pulled this. This is the priority-based budgeting expenditure proposed for basically $43,000. In view of the fact that we have recently been told that we have to cut $712,000 out of our 2011 budget, Knowing that this procedure would not be in place to draw the 2012 budget, I would ask that we defer and not do this at this time. I'm sure it's a valuable tool, and I support the tool, but there's no way we're going to have it in place to draw the 2012 budget. It won't be in place for us to fix our problems with the 2011 budget, and I cannot support spending the money at this time. I'm still willing to have a discussion about possibly contacting the college or somebody that can help us do a local survey as to what the community wants and sees as their priorities, but I can't spend $43,000 on this at this time.
Chris?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners approve an agreement with the Center for Priority-Based Budgeting in the amount of $30,000 with up to $3,000 in expenses plus an additional $10,000 if identified as a need to cover citizen surveys with funding from the county's contingency fund.
Support
Who supported it? Okay.
for purposes of discussion.
Is there any further discussion? Ross?
Now, obviously, we already had this discussion, Dean and Dennis, but you both feel that this is, if we spend this money, this is an investment that will more than pay for itself over time.
Yeah, we do. We do.
And you also are convinced that this is not a function that you and your staff could accomplish on your own without hiring the consultant.
With the exception of hiring someone, doing the, the survey, the citizen input piece,
Right.
that we would have to hire out from someone else.
Yeah.
We do not have the expertise to do this ourselves.
Any other comment? Comment I have is, I agree with Commissioner Wheelock. I'm absolutely not in favor of spending $33,000 on the budgeting tool at this time when we're going to have a deficit. I would prefer to see it happen perhaps down the road. But if I understand this correctly, Dennis, even if this is approved, it wouldn't impact our 2012 budgeting. Is that correct?
The only part that I could see, I think we would be able to get the citizen survey done, which is really a separate piece. And I think we might be able to get to the part of identifying programs. But that would be questionable whether we could finish that or not. So I don't know how, I can't promise you that it would be in any usable form for the 2012 budget.
Other than the citizen survey, perhaps?
Definitely that could, yeah.
Jason?
In one side of me thinks it's a good idea as far as planning forward. But I know people well enough to know that, well, first of all, of course, we do have the issue of the money right now. But will we stick to this? Will we pursue this? And as I said, if we pass this, I'm working with it. Okay? I'm going to make sure that it's successful because I don't want to throw, the taxpayers' money away. But I don't want to throw the taxpayers' money away. My concern is that as things go, one of the other things we voted on was the moratorium on the
Siegel?
Yeah, on the Siegel study. And it has some value, but does it have enough to service this? We need to look at it more seriously right now.
Mr. Chairman.
Dennis?
Oh, well, I guess I want to say, Commissioner, that I agree with you 100% on the standpoint that it has value, but that it only has value, as I told you in the committee, if it has really, really strong support from the county board. And, I'd be the first one to tell you, if it doesn't, and we go forward without real strong support, we're asking the departments to take on a very major change in culture. And like I told you, the example that Fred Kiesler found of the community that did it, and then a new board was elected, and 3 years later they discontinued it, that would be terrible to do. So the one thing that both companies told me unequivocally is you only do this if there's really strong, solid support from the board. I thought, when it appeared we had that. I understand the budget issue. This is a big issue, and people will certainly look at it and say, how can you spend money like this when you have a $700,000 deficit this year? So I totally respect Commissioner's position on that. But you are right. I do believe it to be a very good thing, but it is not something to do if there isn't strong support on the board. And there has to be maintained strong support. Commissioner Maxbauer and I have talked about how it's going to take commissioners to go sit down with judges, elected officials, and say, we need your participation in this. I can't do that alone. I'm going to need strong help from the board to get everybody on board with this, and she's already pledged to do that, which I appreciate, but I will need a lot of help. And yep, if we go and we get started with this and we get a year down the road and we bring back that first budget and the commissioners haven't bought in the same culture that we've asked the departments to, there will be problems. You're right.
Larry?
I guess the main question I want to clarify again is that, one of the main components is the public input process or the public opinion process on priority funding. What areas of county government do they see more important than others? Do you believe that that component could be completed in order for us to make a decision on the 012 budget?
I believe there's enough time to do the citizen input piece. Under the proposal that we had, we talked about charrettes that would, go to the community, and my suggestion is we look at just taxpayers' lists of citizens and randomly pull people and invite them to be part of the charrettes. I have not talked to the vendor to know that we could accommodate those charrettes in that time, but certainly there are other mechanisms. John Syke has talked about forums, surveys at the departments, and then maybe a phone survey or a written survey out to a cross-section of the community. I believe there is time, if we get on it right away, there is time to accomplish that. But I don't believe we'll be able to accomplish the rest of it for the budget.
I'm just wondering that even though we make some structural changes to $700,000, we've got another $1.3 million, maybe up to $2 million. If we've got more declines in assessed values and tax tribunals and boards of reviews coming and those kinds of things, that we might be sitting back, sitting on this board 2 years in the future saying, we should have, maybe we should have looked a little harder at this thing. Because we'd have everything in place. I mean, the big thing for me right now is if I can get a prioritization from the public for the 012 budget to help with the $1.3 million or the $1.5 million we might have to cut. I mean, that would be my only, I guess, fallback position for going forward with it. But
Chris?
Mr. Chairman, I'm a strong supporter of this. I understand you're not. In every single instance where this has been tried, expenses have gone down and results for citizens has improved. Dean, if this were your money, would you spend it this way?
Well, it's not my money, but if it were my money, as Dennis has already stated, I believe it is something we need to do so we can evaluate and identify what programs are important for the community, and then we allocate the dollars we have towards those programs that are of the highest value.
We don't full cost anything, as Dean said in our last meeting where this was discussed. This is a tool that will tell us what our programs are truly costing us. This is a tool, as Commissioner Henschel, who is not here this evening, said when he was speaking to the county administrator, Dennis, this is a tool that you say you need. I want to give you the tools that you need to do your job. I really do believe that this will work. It's not going to work overnight. It's going to take probably 2 to 3 years before you really, you're going to see results immediately, but as far as the citizen input goes, but it'll take about 2 or 3 years until you really, truly see the results. We have spent tens of thousands of dollars on things that have not worked. They're studies that sit on a shelf. This is not a study that sits on a shelf. This is $33,000. We spent $15,000 on a bridge, on a study, not even a bridge, a study to see if we should tunnel under the South Airport by the Boardman River, or we should build a bridge over it. This is an investment in the way we budget in the future. And what we're doing now, in my opinion, doesn't work. And I will briefly say what we're doing now. What we're doing now is we tell Dennis, we say, Dennis, bring us a budget. And in the fall, Dennis brings us a budget. And we say, Dennis, give us cuts. And he gives us cuts. And then we put them all back. That's not working. We absolutely need a different process. This is a different process. It's a better process. It works. We will have less government, more efficient government. I just can't speak strongly enough about it, and I could go on for, as you know, for another half an hour, but I won't.
Thank you. Ross?
Because of the budget crunch that we're in, and really all governments in the whole country at all levels are in, I don't think there's anybody's feeling flush right now. This is probably why we need it. We are faced with, and we just formed some special subcommittee and special meetings to address a shortfall this year, just to make sure that the shortfall next year isn't even worse than it is already. So obviously we're going to have to make some cuts. What this will do is it will not only tell us what programs are valuable and worthwhile, it will also tell us what the public values, what the public thinks we should be doing, and what the public, frankly, could care less about. And that's why I'm going to support this, because it's really a small amount of money for the end result. And the end result is going to pay dividends. If we do it correctly, should pay dividends for a long time to come.
There's 4 items that come to mind while listening. Number 1, and I heard Dennis say this at, I believe, our Ways and Means, if the board isn't 100% behind it, it's going to fail. And we don't need another failure this is a lot less dollars, but like the Siegel study. Number 2, there was a lady that wrote a letter quite a while ago about the county commissioners and doing exactly what the motion is tonight, to spend money on a consultant to tell us how to budget. I don't think there's a commissioner on this board that has hired a private consultant to assist them in the expenditures of their own funds, because times are hard, gas prices are high. I think it's the wrong time. It is going to help us for 2012. I think Commissioner Gilman the other night said, I'll sit there all day if I have to discuss the budget and find out exactly what we need to do, what we need to cut, and to get the public input. I think it's a bad idea to spend the money. I'll not support the motion. And even if it passes, both companies told Dennis unequivocally, he said, if you don't have 100% of the board behind it, it's going to fail. And we don't need another failure of $33,000 sitting on the shelf. The public input, the $10,000, perhaps we need to look at that to gather some public input, what they feel is important in that. But I think all of us collectively, all 9 of us with staff, can sit down and identify what we need to do. Sonny?
Well, I believe this is absolutely a very valuable tool, and I think that there will come a time that we can really use this tool. I'm just afraid it's a piece of equipment in today's world. I look at equipment every week that I'd love to have to make my job easier, but I have to choose what I can afford. And right now, I don't believe we can afford this tool.
Larry?
Dennis, does the company require payment in full before they start, or are the different, or can we just get charged as we go as components?
Well, they will charge We did not work out a contract, obviously, because the board
Correct.
hasn't acted on it. But typically what happens is there will be benchmark times where we will pay a percentage of the budget. And there's five or six basic components to this. I don't have it before me, and I'm guessing that we would break down that and according to the amount of time that it takes in each of those components and pay it over a period of the contract, not all at once. But, they're saying it's a 6-month process to get through, so I would expect it would be paid sometime in the next 6 to 7 months by the time we develop a contract.
Any other discussion or comments? Jason?
There is one thing I'm concerned about, as you know, I don't initially. I lean towards not supporting it, but I think it'd be more appropriate if we could take this vote when the full commission is present, because if it goes forward, then it, as you say, it better damn well have the full support of the commission, and everybody better be on board if it's going to go forward. So if we could move it forward to another day and not take this vote today.
I don't think so. I think we need to vote on it, and we can go from there.
I think one of the problems with that could potentially be delaying it. We would delay it a month, in effect. That may make it difficult for us to be able to complete the citizen component of it in a useful timeline to help you for this year's budget. That would be my only concern. Overall, to wait a month to get it in would be fine, but I'm concerned about the citizen input piece, because I think that's going to take a little bit of time. But that would be my concern with it.
Does everybody understand the motion?
Yeah, motion's to approve as presented.
Yeah. Bonnie, would do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
No.
Thomas?
No.
Richardson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Gilman?
No.
Police?
No.
Motion failed.
Yep.
Okay, the next item is...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could, I would make a motion to direct staff to move forward with contacting the college or someone that could do that public input process. I think that's critical to us. As we move forward and try to pick out what services are important to the community, we need to see if we can get that information. And, whether Northwestern Michigan College or if there's someone else that can help us with that, I would ask that staff move forward with trying to identify if there's a local source for that information.
Is there support for the motion?
I'd second that.
Okay, everybody understand the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous, pass. Next item is number 25 that was pulled. It was pulled by Commissioner Max Bauer.
Yes, I don't wish to approve, thank you.
Motion to approve as presented for item 25.
Support.
I'll work on that.
Been moved and supported to approve the 2011 Remind Imitation Service Contract. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Commissioner Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
No.
Gilman?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Police?
Yes. Next item is number 28, Corrections Officer Bargaining Unit Contract. Chris?
I don't wish to approve.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Support?
Been moved and supported to approve the Corrections Officer Bargaining Unit.
I missed the support. Who
It was Larry.
who supported?
Sonny.
Larry made the motion, I supported it,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Ross?
Yeah, I would just like to hear Commissioner Max Bauer's comments on why she doesn't support this.
There's a cap on the health benefit. I prefer I think everyone needs to pay a flat percentage, and I don't believe that percentage should be capped.
Okay, you oppose this at
I'm sorry?
You opposed this before, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I had forgotten that.
Same reason.
And we have other contracts that also have the cap in them. that we've
And I don't vote for those. And I'm not voting for this one either.
All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the Corrections Officer Bargaining Unit contract. All in favor? Or roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
No.
Gilman?
No.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Yes. And number 31's the next item, pulled by Commissioner Max Bauer again, removal of the parking meters at the governmental center.
Yes, I did speak Monday evening at the city commission meeting with most of the city commissioners who were opposed to this. And one of the things, and I guess we all have a letter on our desk from a Mr. Howe over on Lincoln Street who says this, he refers to this as a reactive response to a parking ticket. And honestly, it is not a reactive response to a parking ticket, and I'm sorry that it is viewed that way. It is absolutely not. I view it, and I heard other commissioners who supported this say the same thing. I view this as customer service, flat-out customer service. When you've got a parking meter in front of the governmental center that says 30 minutes, and you push a button, and you don't read the small print, the fine print, and you only get 15 minutes, where everywhere else in the city of Traverse City, when you push that button, you get 30 minutes. You can call it false advertising, I don't care what you call it, but it's wrong. When every single parking meter in Traverse City says 30 minutes, you hit that button, and the ones downstairs, go downstairs and look right now, they say 30 minutes on them. You don't get 30 minutes, you get 15, and I defy anyone to come into this building and if there's somebody being served ahead of you, to get your business done in 15 minutes. It's not customer service friendly. That being said, I'm fine with leaving the parking meters where they are if we can change that to 30 minutes so that the button reflects what the meter states. So that's...
Is that a motion?
I will make that motion.
Support.
And your motion...
Wait a minute.
To change the... What? To change the parking meters downstairs.
The ones on the west side
All
of
of
the
them,
lot?
all of them.
Both sides.
Both sides, 30 minutes. When you come here, you should be able to have 30 minutes to do your business. Heaven forbid you should walk up the stairs and have to stand behind someone in a line. You can't do it in 15 minutes. That's not customer service. And so I want 30 minutes.
Dick?
The outside meters don't have any buttons on them.
They
Right,
should.
Well,
I want them to have buttons. Dennis is going like this.
I think the confusion is that these meters right up against the building, it is misleading.
Yes.
They're 30-minute
Thank you.
meters. They're 30-minute meters.
I know.
You get 15 minutes free if you push the button.
But it's the only place in town.
Yeah, I agree. And I've talked to a lot of commissioners about this. I've talked with the city about this. And then tonight, I got some even better advice from a commissioner or two that we talked to. And I'm going to offer just a slight change to that. But I agree with you. All the meters should have buttons. I just put on your desk a $50 charge to do that. What was suggested over the course of talking to people is one of two things. Either all the meters be 2 hours total with 30-minute buttons, or another idea...
30-minute free buttons.
30-minute free buttons,
Okay.
and 2-hour meters, so that no one stays there more than 2 hours. Or the ones next to the building, make them 1-hour meters with 30 free minutes, and make the ones on that side, on the east side, 2-hour meters with 30 minutes. So in other words, keep those ones in front a little shorter and make them 1 hour total. But either way, I think either of those are decent solutions. But I do agree with you 100%. 30 minutes free would be
It's
very
fair.
workable, and the city manager and I have talked, and he's fine with that.
Dick?
I was open to compromise. I said, okay, we keep the meters as long as they're not writing tickets every day. And I was told that they would write tickets every day. And $10 biscuit for 10 minutes of overtime parking or whatever is ridiculous. So, but I was willing to compromise on this. If they would just go easy on the tickets. If somebody's obviously there all day long, that's a different story. And that's not hard to tell. The day, and I'll say, I got a ticket, I didn't pay, I was here for, what, 15 minutes? Yeah, I earned my ticket. But one of the problems that really burned me up wasn't my ticket. It was when I walked down there was two ladies there that were getting written up that weren't there as long as I was, because they pulled in. I saw them pull in, and when I got back down there, they were already getting their ticket. Now, they hadn't been over 10 minutes. And to me, you're not treating the public very fair when you want them to come in, and the building is for their service, and they've got to come in here, and then you give them a ticket. That is disgusting.
Is 30 minutes free at all the meters? Is that enough of a compromise for you?
If you put buttons on all of them.
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
we're talking
the
about
motion.
doing.
I could go
And,
on.
That's the motion.
I understand the expense of this can be paid out of the revenue from the meters, right?
Yeah.
That's like $1,200 or something?
Actually, I'll work with the city on that. I'm hoping they'll pay for part of it.
Well,
I haven't
yeah,
talked to the city.
I would hope so.
Larry and then Jason?
Well, I would like to see if it's possible to have the motion in a second, consider amending your motion that the back meters are 2 hours. You can put coin in for 2 hours, and it's 30 minutes free. And the front, it'd be 1 hour, you can put coins in, but 30 minutes free.
Can we clean up the motion
If that's possible.
It's still a ripoff.
if we could withdraw the motion and then clean up the language rather than try to work through the...
Yeah, I guess I would just suggest, I understand 30 minutes free, got that part. We need to say something about how long you want the meters to be for, and I don't think we said that in the motion.
And that would be consistent with other meters in Traverse City.
Okay, I'll withdraw the motion.
Then I would move that we have the...
Second has to withdraw his.
second?
I withdraw.
I would move that we have the west side towards the building meters set at 30 minutes free with an hour total time available, and the east side meters set at a half an hour free and 2 hours total.
Second.
With an amendment. That every time I come here, I don't see a city cop car or a sheriff's department car or whoever is parking there for free.
Well, I do want to say that this issue, as you might expect, this issue has come up quite often, but it came up with the sheriff in a meeting that I had with him yesterday, where he informed me that 2 or 3 of his officers have received tickets in that parking lot.
All right.
There and not having any time on the meter,
And
so
who pays those?
they do themselves.
Sonny?
Well, I really can't imagine how we get such big emotional discussion out of something like a parking meter. I can't. I guess I can support the motion, but at the same time, fundamentally I oppose parking meters everywhere because I don't believe they're good for business or anything else. And I look at the fact that we have public parking meters, or we have public parking lots at our Front Street building, our Hall of Justice, the jail, the Law Enforcement Center, the Public Services Building, the Department of Public Works Building, the Public Safety Building, the Civic Center, the Twin Lakes, the Keystone in Maple Bay. Not one of those facilities has a parking meter except in front of this building. So why is it that we have to have a parking meter in front of this building when we have all the other buildings that don't have them?
We didn't tell you they're going in.
It's simply because we don't have adequate parking here. That's the biggest problem. We have people parking all the way down the streets. We have a much more significant concentration of business being done on this campus than any place else with less parking. And so it's like the example I gave a little earlier. I've talked this over with Ben Bifus, the city manager. The first day we have a jury trial, that front parking lot, if there's no meters, is going to fill up with people at court, and that they will be there all day. And then, with our limited parking situation, other members of the public who come to use these buildings will have no place to park. And that, if we think we're getting a lot of calls and complaints now over this issue, there will be many, many more complaints in my opinion if we don't keep those free and open the way they are now. I understand your concern, but I really think it's a matter of the concentration of business that's being done here.
Ross?
The reason we have the meters is because it maintains and forces whatever short-term parking, and it works. I mean, you can pull into the parking lot pretty much any time of day, and there'll always be a few spaces open. In fact, the only time there are not spaces at the meter, there's not space where the meters are, is at night when there's a couple, 3 meetings going on in this building when you don't have to feed the meter. Those are the only times they fill up completely and you can't find a place to park. In the daytime, there's always spaces open. And the other reason to do this is because, based on my emails and phone calls and so forth over the last week, the public actually supports those parking meters. So I think we've come up with a good compromise, so why don't we just vote it out and get it over with, folks?
Sounds good to me.
Does everybody understand the motion?
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Richardson?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Thomas?
No.
Please?
Yes. I do have one comment, though, in regards to the parking. What I would prefer to see is like they have in Europe. It makes the building look a lot better, the parking lots look a lot better, it would make our downtown look a lot better, Commissioner Crothers. If you remove the parking meters, and for example, how they handle it in France, for example, is they have a little square machine, it's about half the size of that table, and you get out of your car, you go over, you put your money in, it spits out a ticket, you lay the ticket on right there on the left side of your dash. The parking personnel comes along, looks at it, and you can have it on there so the 30 minutes were free, whatever the length of parking, but you don't have the clutter or the maintenance of the parking meters. How much are the buttons going to cost?
$50.
A piece?
Yes.
Add that up, I think the cost of the meters originally back in '88 was $4,000 something.
Can't remember.
You add all that up, just picture a little thing sitting there. There'd be one out here for both sides, for the whole parking lot. There'd be one in each block downtown and on State Street. Just think how nice that'd look without them meters there. Go to the city of Cadillac, they removed their meters. Their streetscape looks a lot better than them ugly meters we got. And you can accomplish the same thing with a lot less maintenance.
I've recently been in Chicago and in Boulder, Colorado, and they have that same system. Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, same system.
I've talked about that till I'm blue in the face. First time I ever saw it was in '87 when I went over to visit family. Every time I go there to visit family, I see that and I come back and I talk, and I'm getting tired of talking. Nobody
Actually,
listens.
there has been some discussion on that. I know there was some discussion on that in what's called Parking Lot X, which is down there in the Garland Street District, because there was a lot there that was permit parking, but nobody was using it as permit parking, but people were using it to, go to the businesses. And rather than try to put meters up everywhere, because they would have had to put a curb in and all that kind of stuff, there was some discussion, I know, with GDA about doing the system just such as you're talking about. Now, they haven't done it yet, but I think it won't be that long before we may see it here in Traverse City, experimental at first, but then once people get used to it, you're going to see a lot more of it.
The auto parking system would stand a lot to gain, and so would the city, because the maintenance costs and the cost of the machine is far less than the meters and the maintenance on the meters.
And it also allows you to use a credit card, and also allows you to buy exactly the amount of time that you needed, whether it be, 45 minutes or 4 hours, so.
Right. Just to be a good commissioner, Good Friday, about 1 p.m., pulled in, I parked in the first spot next to the handicap on the west side of the lot, so I'm right in front of the building. I'm coming in to get my book. I walked up, even though I knew it's a holiday, pushed the button, and guess what? The button doesn't work on that meter. So maybe the auto parking system needs to see, take an inventory of how many of these meters need attention. Okay, moving on. We've killed that.
Yes, we have.
Unfinished business, I
There's
don't
none.
see any. New business, we have,
That's just a notice, Commissioner, just to give everybody notice. We're required to give 7 days' notice before you take any action, and so we're going to put together a request for this item for the public's health and safety meeting next week.
okay, and everybody has
It
the
doesn't
memo
matter.
from Commissioner Wheelock, business? Wheelock and Sons? Okay. Second public comment. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to comment on any topic? Good evening again.
Jim Crothers, 218 West 11th Street. I wasn't planning on coming up a second time, but I'm surprised that you're not supporting the priority-based budgeting. That's something we've been talking about for years. I personally was kind of hoping it was going to work for you all, and the city would then try to adopt something. In these tough times, we're always looking for better performance out of our systems, and these budgeting practices are proving to work well to do that, to save the taxpayer money, to get a better job out of our employees and manage our programs and services and budgets better. I'm just kind of shocked that we've been talking about this for 2-3 years now. Finally, we get some headway to try something new that's being used all over the country, but now we are throwing it under the bus. So, sorry, maybe the city will try it in the future.
Well, didn't the city already take this up and turned it down?
We're trying to get it passed.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other public
You
comment?
adopt it and we'll watch it.
I'll close public comment. Notices and announcements. Ad hoc committee interviews for boards and committees, Tuesday, May 3rd at 1:30 p.m. There's a coffee meeting with Walker and Schmidt set up for June 10th at 9 a.m. Do you know the location of that, Dennis?
I believe it's...
Conference room 300 up on the third
Yeah,
floor.
I believe so, but we'll be sending a notice around to all of you.
Okay. And then June 23rd, the semi-annual joint meeting with the local municipalities, governmental center, second floor training room.
That's the big room in the back
Right.
corner.
Is there any need for a closed session?
No, sir.
I'd be open for a motion for adjournment. So moved.
Support.
Boy, this early, the Red Wings must not be playing.
When is that road commission luncheon? When is that road commission luncheon?